Okay, so guys, good evening, everyone. Myself, Dr. Yamini Ramesh, and I welcome you all on behalf of Homeopathy Junction and Asha Homeopathic Academy. Today, we have with us Dr. Prajakta Vaidya and Dr. Pratisha from Healing Harmony Clinic, and they will be sharing the understanding of Hammermility family with some cases. So, we are very happy to have them. Thank you so much for accepting this invite and giving your precious time to us. And I would be, it would be my privilege to give your introduction to everyone. Okay, so Dr. Prajakta Vaidya and Dr. Pritisha are a dynamic duo and founders of Healing Harmony, a homeopathic holistic healing initiative. Their approach is multidimensional and they offer a range of holistic therapies like meditation, yoga, diet, and counseling, along with homeopathic treatment. They also conduct wellness retreats called Karva to help their clients move from fragments to whole working on the mind body spirit dynamics. Insightful and passionate, this duo comes with over 12 plus years of practice together at their couple of clinics in Mumbai, India. They practice and teach classical homeopathy, Dr. Shankaran's sensation method, and Dr. Gandhi's personal evolution method also. They regularly conduct workshops and webinars on homeopathy, wellness, and holism in different colleges, schools, and corporates. They also run a study circle called Homeopathy Musings, where homeopaths from different schools come together to share and learn. And there are two websites which they manage. First is healingharmony.in and second is karvaretreat.com. Do go to this website and check it. It's wonderful. And this Karwa thing is also wonderful. I keep checking their updates on social media. So I'm very happy to have you, Dr. Prajakta and Dr. Priti.
Thank you so much, Yamini, for your generous introduction. And before we get started, I wanted to congratulate you and your entire team. Both the organizations were coming together and doing some excellent work. So many congratulations to all
Thank
of you for hosting something like this. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting us.
You're most welcome. It's a sheer pleasure of ours. So over to you. You can now start. Okay, I'll mute myself.
Sure. So without further ado, let's get started. We are going to go ahead and can we make our video like this? Perfect. So today, Prajakta, so she's Prajakta for clarity and I'm Preeti. And we're going to talk about the plant Hammermillidae. We started with Hammermillidae family, but then we thought let's extend it to the second subclass. So the entire second subclass of the plant chart, that is the Hammermillids. Okay, and what better way to understand anything than with a case. So let's start with a case, and as we move along, we'll discuss more about this family and its intricacies. All right. If you have any questions, please keep a note of it, and at the end of this session, we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Okay. So going ahead and sharing our screen, let us know once you're able to see it. So can you all see the screen? I think so. Yeah. Okay. So this was a case of urticaria, and very intense eruptions she used to get. And since 2 years, she was taking antihistaminic almost daily. There was a lot of aggravation as to happen at night. Also, along with it, there was a sneezing, which is in the morning, and the breathlessness attack almost every night. And she was using the inhaler and the pumps every single day, which used to, temporarily relieve all her complaints. Breathing, it was very heavy, and there was a lot of wheezing too, and it used to get. Okay, can you hear us? Can you hear us? So maybe the network may be a little sometimes crappy. We are in Broadband, but something beyond our control. So hopefully this gets better now. All right. So let's take it from here. Okay. So the breathing was very heavy and the wheezing was also there, which was aggravated by lying down and also with the slightest exertion. And she's been on steroids since it was detected, and all with it, she had gained 9 kgs of weight. And she was so tired of it, and she just wanted to get rid of it, and she came up with this for us, for homeopathy basically. So we just ask an open question to her that tell more about your complaints. She started saying, I'm working as a lecturer of bioanalytical science in a college, and I like to do research, and I will do my PhD in this field. And during the lecture becomes very uneasy, as if something is restricting me, and I feel I'm continuously dependent on the medicines. The moment I stop the medicines, the sneezing and the wheezing starts, and it is becoming difficult again and again to follow the day-to-day things. And she travels daily, from Malad to Matunga. So it's a long distance in a train. So it's very difficult to do that also easily. So in this, when she was describing, we felt the restricting was something which was very important and had an energy in it. So we asked her, talk more on being on the medicines and restricting your life. So she mentioned, I can't lead a normal life. It is as if you're losing your freedom to sickness. And there are many restrictions, like, you don't need, you cannot eat ice creams, you can't take lemon, you can't wash your hair, you can't play with animals, pets, cats, dog, and so many things, and I feel I'm unable to follow it. So in this, restricting freedom to sickness, which was something unique. Don't you think so? Because we were talking about the chief complaint and we got this. So we asked about that. I feel irritated and frustrated. I don't feel like doing anything. Even the change of weather, I get these allergies. So my mother doesn't even allow me to go out. So I feel very bored. So we asked, tell more about the experience of this restricting. I feel life is boring. And because after allergies, my nose gets blocked. And then again difficulty in breathing. So currently, my only worry is of my PhD. So there is work stress, marriage stress. And my mother, she forces me to get married soon. But I want to do PhD before I get married. So I want to wind it up fast, but it's of 3 years. So I know that it won't get finished fast. And I'm the only child, and my mother is 62 years. My father is no more, so I am the only one who's the breadwinner of my family. And I feel a lot of pressure because of this. I feel under pressure. I need to do both these things at a time, manage my personal as well as my work stress. I feel I have to be responsible enough at my personal level and my professional level too. And then I have a feeling of accomplishment. Then we asked about describe this under pressure. My first priority is research. I wanted to go for it. And in research, why? Because every day is new. Your brain is constantly working. If one thing doesn't work, then you go for the other. And it's very exciting. In research, you find out the solution, this or that. You need to use various techniques, various methods, mix and match, and that is something very exciting. But currently, what is happening? She is an intern and a fresher. So in the college, the environment is not very friendly. And she feels there's a lot of politics. The senior teachers are just giving them an admin work, and they become very monotonous. They work for extra hours, but they don't get paid. And it's more of an admin related work. There is no excitement and there's no, change. And then she feels I'm bored. And I don't want to work for the senior teachers. That is also a suffocating atmosphere for her.
So it's coming again and again if
Yes.
you notice it, yeah?
Yes. So we asked her to describe suffocating. She said, restricted feeling, pressurized. You can't do what you want to do. And it's restricted. We wanted to stick to this restriction and get the more experience into it. So we asked further. She said something is stopping you. You're helpless, as if you're getting locked in a room that doesn't open until you finish your job. Describe the experience of this, we asked. It's lonely, isolated, nobody to support you. And then we wanted to go more detail into it. Then she says, there's a barrier and it will not open. You feel unhappy and pressurized. Then we asked about that place which she feels lonely, isolated. It's a dark place with thorns. You're locked with thorns. It's a dark desert. The sky is also dark. You know, I feel very shivering and tense. And what is the reaction? You want to come out of it, of your body, and feel the freedom. Your hands become cold and you are not calm. Many thoughts come. Describe this experience of freedom more as if you are in a nature related place. The blue sky, noisy birds, and blowing wind. How is the experience of it when we ask? It's pleasant. You feel light, colorful. There are trees and mountains. We have this, then we went for her nature. So we asked about her nature. She said, I'm very reserved. I don't like crowded places. I like cats, dogs. And at times, you know, I get scary dreams. We asked about the dreams. She says, I feel as if I'm being chased by people. I feel suffocated. You know, it came again. It's like a restriction. And those people are being possessed by ghosts. And I'm continuously praying. And then when they come to attack me, I sprinkle a holy water on them so that the ghost can free their body. So we asked, tell more about this. So I get up from the sleep, you know, with pressure on my chest. There's a heavy feeling and I'm panting for breath. This was the experience in the dream. We asked about hobbies, drawing, sketching, writing. I like to draw things, color. I like to sketch. What she sketches is the night, sky, planets. We asked, what do you like about it? So she says, sky, which is very huge, amazing, unexplored. No one has visited the other planets apart from the Earth. Very different. You know, the galaxy is a mysterious space. We asked about the experience of it. It's amazing, pleasant. I like to do new things. I had done internship with Tata Memorial Hospital initially, and she was doing research there with the cancer cells. And she likes to do new things, excitements, and, you know, every day doing something new. So we thought this is very, very important. And we asked any physical changes that happened during this excitement to get it more deeper into it. So she mentioned there are a lot of tingling sensation. And one step closer to that results, it's really excitement. Also, I feel restless. You know, my research is my passion and not a job. So I never get tired, never get bored. So it's coming again and again and again. Then we asked about giving examples. She said sky, plants, animals, greenery, clouds, waves, rocks, everything related to nature brings excitement. How unique things are, you know. The sand is so different from different places. The color of the sky changes according to the season. And there are different species of bird. There are small, big, but the color is different. You know, something
Color of the beak is also different.
Yes. And then with all of this, we prescribed a remedy and the patient immediately responded well. And before that, she had one acute asthma attack, and we did one process with her to take that experience more deeper. Priti, if you want to talk about it.
So far, I mean, from a general sense of things, I mean, in today's talk, there are no surprises. You know, the topic is Hema millets. So, you know, whatever the case that we are going to be presenting is from the Hema millets. What I want all of you all to do as participants is try to fine tune your Hema millets. That if you come to Hema millets, you know, most of you all, you know, who know something about the sensation method, and some words, because a lot of these things you are not able to repertorize. You know, there is no way that you will be able to repertorize that suffocation, that light, that color, and all of it. The whole idea and your take back home is going to be, how do you fine tune and polish yourself? Okay, so that's the idea. We are going to talk only about hammer millets today. All right. So the patient immediately responded, and she had a very acute episode of asthma. And my resident doctor, this was very late in the night. I think it was 8 o'clock in the night already here. And the patient came, and so my resident doctor, she came to me, that saying that maybe we need to think of an acute remedy. Fair enough. Generally, somebody would think like that, right? But I said, with this acute attack, her state was so intensified. Why not use this opportunity to go deeper, to see if there is some sort of a healing that we can bring about in this intense state that has come up. Okay. So a lot of times, this intense acute episode can unravel your case. Okay. And it can be like a make or break in your entire, journey with the patient. So she said her complaints were not able to, she was not able to sleep. She was finding difficulty in breathing, and she was not better with all the allopathic medicines. She was on that, her pump also, and her antihistamines were started again, but she was not better with it. So she said, she mentioned a dream. So I asked her about that dream. So she said, there's one old man who is possessed, and his nails came out, and he's cursing everybody. So what is the feeling? That will be very objective. Just nails coming out and somebody cursing is very objective. What is her subjective feeling in the dream is something that's very important. So she says, I felt very scary, restless, uneasy, suffocated, not able to move, want to go out, but unable to go out. So she was unable to describe this further. But the same suffocation comes even in the dream, even in this acute episode. So now this, you have to go deep. So if she is not able to go deeper from the dream route, no problem. Don't push the patient. Take some another route. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Look from some other window. So a lot of times, Prajakta and I do this. We ask the patient to simply close the eyes. Dr. Jayasha uses this method very often. Just close your eyes and come back to this moment and see how are you feeling right now. Just bring this can be a very deep meditative healing process. Yeah. So just close your eyes and take a deep breath and describe. Okay. So I'll just narrate this process how we did. So close your eyes, take a deep breath, and imagine that far, far, far away from you, in a different city, in a different country, maybe in a different continent. Yeah. Very far away from here, completely not related to you, maybe in the water, in the sky, or in the land, there is something or someone going through the exact feeling. Trust your imagination, and at the count of 5, whatever comes in front of your eyes, just tell. Okay, did you follow that? Basically, what you're trying to do is just disconnecting the patient from her current reality and connecting her to her other song. And by seeing that in water, in land, in sky, you're opening up all the realisms. Something or someone, again, you can open up any realm. It could be plant kingdom, animal kingdom, it could be mineral kingdom, anything can come up. So you give her all the options and trust her imagination. The eyes remain closed all time for the patient. So what comes up? So she says, I see a stick man, a man holding a stick, and he's tied on a chair and he's not able to move. And then he's tied on the chair and he's floating in the air. So we say, talk more, connect to this man, be with this man. He's helpless. He's trying to go here and there, but he's going anywhere, in any direction, flying in random directions. And he's not even able to speak. So just encourage, just push the patient a little more, stay with it. What are you seeing right now? And he's unable to move, like he is not going anywhere, and wind takes him wherever. He has no control over himself. Yeah, so the theme of control has come. So then we ask her, just stay with this stick man. Yeah, the man holding the stick. And what is he feeling right now? So she said he is feeling tortured. So now there's complete dissociation. He is feeling tortured and he's screaming in pain. So in the interest of this session and with the time limitation that we have, I've just highlighted the important points of this whole process. So after some time, when she is deeper into this whole state and this whole affair, what you could do is you could simply fast forward. That means you tell that patient or the client who's in front of you and tell that, let us fast forward this story. Whatever story or whatever thing or whatever person that you have connected with, let's fast forward it. And then you could fast forward it to, after 1 month or after 2 months or last minute of the story. So here I've written let's fast forward it to the last minute of this story. Stay with this stick man and tell us how is he feeling. So she says he's in intense pain. He's just struggling. He's trying to free himself. He's trying to scream and voice is not coming out of him. So I say, okay, let's go to the very end. This is just the very, very, very end of the story. What is happening? So she says he's giving up. His efforts are all useless. He's unable to fight back and he's not able to see any hope. Go further. He's screaming. He's crying. There is a black cloud around him. Remember, in the initial history, all these things have come up in different manifestations. What are his last words? I asked. He's unable to speak. He's scared. So then, this is also very interesting. I asked her, what do you want to tell him right now? So one is she's dissociated. It's her projection, right? But now in this conscious realm, I'm telling her that now if you have to tell something to him, who is feeling suffocated, who is feeling loss of control, who is tied up, helpless, lost control, what do you, now he's given up also, he's unable to talk. Now if you have to tell him something, what will you tell him something? How will you help him? You see how beautiful this is? So she says, I wish I could tell him something. So I said, then why worry? Tell, no, connect. You have all the power that you have. You have all the superpowers. If you have to tell him something, if you have to help him, how are you going to do it? I will untie his ropes, cut his ropes, she said. So then I say, why don't you do it? Go ahead. Who is stopping you? See it, feel it, and let it be completed. Let it be done. Then she says, I'm trying to pull him. I have scissors in my hand. And all of this, she's closed her eyes and she is actually visualizing and actually living this. So she says, I have scissors. Now I'm trying to cut his ropes. And it is difficult to cut. But I'm trying. I'm putting in all my efforts. So then I asked, see how it feels when these ropes are cut. She says, the chair is gone now. The chair is sucked in. And I'm trying to pull him out. It is very, very difficult. Now this is a new dimension that has come. So what is the feeling? He's feeling some hope, the chance to come out. He's trying with all his force to push that cloud away. There's a black cloud. Again, the black cloud has come. When Prajakta was narrating the first history, there was a black cloud, if you remember. And he's using all his strength. He's coming out slowly. Tell more. He's out. I have pulled him. Now he's widening his both arms. He's trying to push that thing. And both of us, that stick man and I, both of us are struggling. So then again, because this is going on for some time, I tell her, okay, now let's fast forward again. You and him both succeed. You are able to free him. You are able to cut his rope. You are able to pull him out of that black cloud. Trust the process. And at the count of 3, 3, 2, 1, I want you to see what happens. So she says the cloud is gone and it is just me and him breathing heavily. And she actually starts breathing heavily. And we both have escaped death. Finally, it is gone and I'm free. There is nothing that is tying us. See now, from dissociation, from she helping that guy, she is now involved completely. She's seeing both of us are no longer tied, and there is no black cloud, and I'm feeling free, and this feeling is awesome. A lot of time as homeopaths, we spend a lot of time in discussing what is not wrong with the patient, the disease. Yeah. So we are only focusing on what is not correct. But very seldom we focus on what is good. So if we are able to focus on what is good, that energy, that positive healing energy increases. So I ask her, okay, describe this goodness, describe this awesome feeling, give it more words. So she says, we are free. Can you close the Wi-Fi so it doesn't? So we are free to do anything, dance and laugh, which we were not able to do initially. We are walking, life has come back, and now there is hope. So just be with this free feeling, really good. And how does it feel in your body? Like Prajakta was explaining in the beginning, when you are at a very deep sensation level, it always helps when you bring it to the physical, because here it is all airy fairy, right? But when you come to the physical, it helps you to stabilize, bring grounding to the case. So it's very important that when you are in this airy fairy world, you ask, what is the physical sensation? Here you're feeling all free, but how are you feeling in your body, in your chest, in your head, in your neck, in your back? So she says, I'm feeling light. Nothing is tight. I'm feeling free. I feel I am flying. So describe this flying, talk about this flying. I'm floating. And then she does this typical hand gesture with both her arms open, wide arms open. So be with this open arms. We are swimming in the air. We are free and we are able to control. So it's not like I'm going anywhere out of control. Remember, the man was tied in a chair and he had no control. He was going in any random direction, wherever the air is taking him. Okay. So how are you feeling right now? So air is not moving us in any direction. I am floating, I'm flying, but at the same time I'm stable. It's a free floating feeling. If I give the space and opportunity, many times we tell this to our patients, that if you have, I'm giving you this space, I have this opportunity. What would you like to do with this moment? She says, I want to run. So we give her that space that, okay, please open your eyes, get up and run. And don't bring your, I mean, when your logical mind comes in, you may just feel a little awkward and all that. But you as homeopaths, as healers, give them that freedom, give them the space to do something which is beyond mind. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the mind, with the psyche or with the heart. So give that space. And then she actually opened her eyes and she started running. So her breathlessness had gone without any medicine. So the whole process, she's like, I've not even taken medicine and I'm already feeling better. So this is what we say, that the case taking itself is half the job done. Yeah? So it was so therapeutic that she felt better. All right, so there's a lot of chat. So I'm just going to go ahead and see this. Okay. Opposite polarity, yeah. So let's say Deepa is saying, no, Rama is saying opposite polarity, absolutely. So we have some 7 minutes to go on, right, Yamini? So we'll continue, and if we get disconnected, we join back again. Yeah. So for all of you all to follow that instruction. So any thoughts on the remedy? Hema millets to hai. Kya doge? Any ideas? Anybody has? Cannabis indica, Rama says. Okay, very good. I mean, under the Hema millet day, the most, I mean, if you come to Hema millet day, you're going to give cannabis indica. That's the whole point. Let's fine tune ourselves. What else? Hema millet, the second subclass, has so many interesting remedies. Why only cannabis indica? So a lot of things in this patient is not covered by cannabis indica. So let's study this a little bit. We gave her ulmus. It is the elm tree, okay, which Dr. Shankaran classified from a miasmatic background in the cancer miasm, okay, because a lot of themes in this patient was to do with control, okay. but we'll go about it.
And the efforts also.
A lot of effort, which is also cancer martyrdom. Okay, but we'll study it from all perspectives. Her follow-up has been really, really good. The patient is still with us. I spoke to her 2 weeks back, and she continues to do extremely well. We are in this online forum, so to maintain patient's confidentiality, we can't share videos, etc. But you'll have to trust us for this, that, the patient is really doing very well, and her pumps and her antihistamines all fitted. Okay, is anybody trying to say something? Okay, no. So let's come to this point, okay? Let's go step one. So in this case, we saw those exactly what Rama was also saying. There are two set of symptoms which are seemingly polar opposite. Yeah, you want to talk about this a little bit?
So there was one hand, there was a feeling of being closed, pressurized, and restricted, heavy. And on the other side, there was a feeling of being open, light, free, flying, and floating. Right? So many sensations and delusions came up. What was important that came up was closed, shutting. I'm feeling confined, right? And I want to open up, fly, and floating, light and free. All these words came into the constricted, suffocated, and open. Yeah, and then these are the main sensations of Hemamelidae family. If you see the delusion, flying he or she is. Generalities, there is opening and closing sensation, lightness sensation on motion. Head also, in the physical sphere also they feel lightness. And the feeling as if the head is floating in the air. These are the common delusions in which most of the Hemamelidae family remedies are placed. So the important words were heaviness, pressure, immovable, tired, suffocation, run, floating like the light like a bird, lightness. These all were the important symptoms that came up.
So this is typical Hemamelidae, yeah? And these are seemingly opposite reactions. The passive reaction for this patient would be dullness, heaviness, drag down. She felt bored and dull and heavy, monotonous work, paralyzed and depressed. That could be one set of symptoms. The other active reaction would be desire to move, desire because the motion ameliorates, desire to be in open air, yeah? And compensation would be adapting to live within the confined, limited space. So from Dr. Shankaran's, long time back, if you see, these are the remedies that come up in the Hemamelidae family. But now, if you see, with the plant chart, with Yakir has brought up, and with a lot of other work that has been done by Dr. Mahesh Gandhi, etc., you can see that Hemamelids is an entire second subclass in the dicotyledon plants. These are flowering plants, and they are dicotyledon, and they are divided per se into 6 subclasses. So the entire Hemamelids, which is the subclass, has Hemamelidae as a family. So there are different subclass like Magnolids, Hemamelids, and so on and so forth. Under that, you will have orders like Urticales, Hemamelides, Jugulandales, Myricales, and Phagalis. Under these orders, you will have family. So under Urticales, there are 5 families. Under Hemamelides, there are Hemamelidae, which will be a family. Yeah, so Hemamelid is the subclass, IDS. Okay. Ales, ALES, whatever ends with ALES, these are orders. And when you go into the family, under the order, they will be Hemamelidae. Okay. So that way you will be able to distinguish. So initially, if you see everything, Phagis, which is Phagalis. Okay, Ulmus, that is the elm tree is Ulmus, which is actually Urticales, also is put in Hemamelidae. Yeah, so that time that was not so much of research and not so much of proving that were done. But now we have this whole, it's like a Pandora, and infinite possibilities have opened up. So Cannabis indica we have all come to, but how do we come to Urticales, and how do you within Urticales come to Ulmus is something that we need to refine ourselves. So we have less than 1 minute to go, and then we are going to reconnect. So Hemamillets second subclass has these 5 orders. Okay. Urticales, the main feeling is unwilling to be born. If you see Dr. Mahesh Gandhi, he talks from an evolution point of view. So as the subclasses go from the first subclass to the sixth subclass, the more developed the person becomes. Okay, more individualized the person becomes. And also, like the mineral chart, we have different columns. We have 18 columns if you follow that. Similarly, we have different rows in the plant chart. So for example, Hemamillets. So the last thing that I was trying to say is that because you have this now an atlas or map, the Magnolidae family, family, it has remedies like Pulsatilla, for example. Okay. In Hemamillets, you have remedies like, say, cannabis indica. Then you have cactus. Okay, here you have remedies like chocolate or bryonia. Then you have in the fifth subclass, you have remedies like rock stalks, which are very more common. In the sixth subclass, you will have remedies like Nux vomica and Ignatia and Compositae family. So remedies like Chamomilla, for example. So a Pulsatilla and Nux vomica are different, right? So the more you go from the left side to the right side, the more individualized, more developed you become. Okay. Similarly, from the top, if you go to the bottom, you're going to become more developed. Okay. So urticales, for example. So I have to give you example. In urticales, then you have, for example, remedies like cannabis indica here. Okay. In urticales. So that is going to be less developed than Hemamillets, which is here. And that is going to be less developed than the Juglendales. These are the walnut remedies. The walnut family is Juglendales. So within a subclass also, from top to bottom, you're going to be more developed. And from left to right also, you're going to go from less developed to more developed. The second subclass is just yet developed. Okay. They are here. They are just incarnated from somewhere, From nowhere, they're just coming back. So let's understand very brief, because we don't have that much time. But in short, the urticales, they're at the top of the chart. In the second class, okay, there's some chat going on. Let's see if it's something for us.
Actually, your screen is very blurred, Dr. Preeti.
Okay. So let's give it a minute. And hopefully it gets better as the network progresses. Okay, but if it continues, please let us know again. So Hemamillets, on the top is urticales. Okay, here they are just unwilling to go. They are not willing to come to the body. They have these out of body experiences, conflicts about the other world, about the existence, just the beginning of life. Yeah. Here you have remedies like Ulmus, Urtica urens, Cannabis indica, Banyan tree, for example. All this, the Bodhi tree, for example. These are the remedies that fall within urticales. Hemamillets have the typical in and out, up and down, light and heavy, small and big, all those issues. Plus issues with the borders. I mean, actually, second subclass, the whole of the subclass has issues with the borders, because it is just coming, from the universe. It's coming, taking existence, right? So their borders are very thin. So there will be issues of formication, numbness, blood vessel issues, all those. A lot of Urtica urens, for example, it's known for Urtica, such severe skin problems. So a lot of it will come here. Juglendales is the walnut family. Here, you see the walnut has such a thick shell. So now now there is something to do with weak and strong, power, yeah, unable to cope up, limiting, yeah. Then when you go to Myrickales further down, in the subclass, when you go further down, Myrickales is Myrica. It's some sort of shrubs and some sort of bayberries. We don't have personal experience with any remedy. with Myrica as a remedy. But here, from a theoretic perspective, as we understand, here they are again going more down, getting into adulthood. So they feel limited. They feel they do not have sufficient power. Yeah. And Fagels, which is the beech family, the oak trees, here now they are adults. Now they take up the responsibility, but still they are second subclass. So they do not have enough resources here. So they take up responsibility for which they don't have resources, and that may lead to lack of power, lot of exhaustion. They're trying, putting in all the effort, and a lot of rigidity of the oak trees can come in. Okay. So column 2, let's understand this a little bit from the Yaki's, Michal Yaki's perspective. Yeah, the subclass 2. These remedies are small shrubs and a lot of majority of, there are some small shrubs and majority are trees, the elm tree or the banyan tree or the oak trees, all of them fall in. Wind pollination is their strategy, and some trees have excessive growth. Giving up the infinite and trying to develop a distinct ego. So in the first subclass, you have remedies like lotus. You have remedies like Nux moschata. You have remedies like pulsatilla. You have remedies like Berberis vulgaris. You have remedies like opium. They are all, all scattered. They don't have a clear-cut identity yet developed. When you come to the second subclass, here now they're giving up the infinite, and now they're coming and trying to form. This is the first step of forming an individual distinct people. So they're trying to acquire a sense of self. Building an identity requires a boundary. Issues related to boundaries, as I said, they have very thin borders. So mentally, emotionally, they are striving for strength. Inside is vague, and they lack the inner strength, but easily succumbs into feeling of small and powerless. I want to be responsible, but I can't. A resolve to attain manifestation in this world, to exist, to be present, and to act independently. The first time they decide to do that. And I want to be safe, and I want to interact with the world. So Dr. Shankaran gives a beautiful example. It's like somebody who's sitting in a glass room, and from there, or in a packed room, and his entire world or relationship with the world is through the television. And in the television, you can live all the stories. There is dark, there is light, and everything. But from the safety of the home, you're interacting with them. Need for space, but no air quality. Here or there, up and down, floating, disconnection, weakness. They will always feel small and weak. And issues with boundaries, issues with the skin, and all this formication and numbness and all of this will come up very much in the entire second subclass. So the struggle is that they are not prepared. A sense of struggle to attain power and to manifest. So in the second subclass, from the top to the bottom as you go down, the manifestation or the power increases. In the beginning, they don't have anything. Ego and masculine qualities require materialization, and that has not yet happened. Okay. So Dr. Gandhi also, Dr. Mahesh Gandhi explains this, that this is second subclass is a very human story. Wanting to incarnate into the material world. Yeah. Issues center around up and down, in and out, here or there. And there is a lot of connection with the other world, with the womb or with the darkness. And that is why they will create a vivid outer world which is full of colors. Yeah. For example, somebody who takes cannabis indica or somebody who takes, weed, marijuana, what is the experience? They are going to feel full of color, and there's a lot of heaviness and despair in their life, and they want to escape from it. They'll take marijuana, and then they'll feel all floaty and light, and life is colorful and musical and all of that. Correct? So we'll talk a little bit about the urticales, the first, group of remedies, the first order. In this, there are 5 families. Moraceae, these are the fig trees, the peepal tree. Ulmaceae, which is the elm tree. This is the elm tree. Yeah, the ulmos remedy that we gave to the patient. Cannabis, Cannabiceae, that is the cannabis indica, marijuana. And Urticaceae, which is the Urtica urens, the nettle. And Ceropaceae, which we don't have any personal experience, and very little material is available in the source books to study this. Okay, so urticales here, it is the first. It's on the top. It's the first order in the second subclass. So here the issues are of before birth and oral stage. So the issues are of basic trust and mistrust, and they feel a lack of power, weakness, and unready to manage. Okay, and a lot of water issues, issues with the urinary tract, water retention, etc. You will see. Within that, if you have to come to ulmus, and we have several cases of ulmus, it is a must remedy that you should know, and it is very, very, very predominant, very common in the practice. Ulmus puts in lot, because see, they don't have the strength, they don't have the inner resources, but they want to do it. So they put in a lot of effort to rise up to the occasion, to meet the challenges. Internally, they feel very weak. So many times in that case, the patient says that I'm trying, I'm failing, but I'm still trying, I'm giving up, I'm helpless, but again, I'm getting back and still trying. So a lot of hardships, a lot of try and effort, you will see. Life gives them challenges and they overcome it. No matter, Dr. Shankaran put it under the cancer mark. They can be very ambitious. You saw this lady, she was a bioanalytical, something fancy. She's doing PhD. She's in some university as a lecturer. She did some research in a cancer institute. A lot of other ulmus patients also, they're very, very ambitious, very intellectual, very creative, very polished they could be. They're over-responsible. If you think of carcinosine and something is not fitting, keep ulmus as a differential diagnosis. Yeah, they're very responsible from a very young age, and they work excessively, and we've seen it in our practice in case after case. This will come up that from childhood they are taking up responsibility. This lady also, she's the only breadwinner, and from a very early age she has started working. They make many plans, they're full of cares and full of worries, and they get stressed with trifles, anxiety trifles about, and they are seeking for perfection. They feel anxious, feeling that most challenges are massive and insurmountable. Feels anxious of thinking what needs to be done, lacks confidence, hence doesn't want to get out of the bed early in the morning. And they're afraid of failures, lot of precocity you will see. And as a result, they feel they have too much laid upon them, just doing and doing for others, and they feel worn out. They feel they don't have a life, will run out of air. Life is dull and tasteless, and there is nothing for me to live for. So in cannabis indica, was all this covered? No, right? It is different. So that minutely you should be able to differentiate. Yeah. This point that you see here highlighted is so important, and I've seen it at least in 3 cases personally. That and you see it in Yakir's book also. She says they have a feeling that they are wading in mud and getting out of it. Like imagine there is for Indian participants in Hindi, like daldal hoti hai, like a feature. I don't know how to say it in English. So it's a swamp maybe. Sticky mud, and you're trying to walk and run in that. But you're not able to, of course. But you're still putting in all effort to run in this against the resistance. Okay, and they feel they're doing that, and finally they feel free that I was able to do it. Yeah. Exact same words, some of our patients have said. Confusion in sexual identity, you will see it in many cases. Men are soft and sensitive, while women can be practical, and they have a lot of childish giggling and heaviness on the other side. Okay. Now here we've tried to differentiate the different families within urticales. So the first is ficus. So you can tell us how much more time do we have, or we are running short, Yamini? Another 15 minutes is okay, or?
Yeah, we have 30 minutes almost. You can.
All right, good. Okay. So the ficus, within the urticales, we have ficus, which is very similar to the nymphaliales family, the lotus family. Okay. So here is the Bodhi tree. The Buddha got enlightened under the Bodhi tree, right? So there's a lot of meditativeness, lot of spirituality, lot of good and bad and righteousness and conscientiousness will come. Yeah, and their connection with the other world is more than the practical materialistic. Yeah. You can also think of ficus remedies in a lot of ADD cases, a lot of autistic cases also, where they're not here, they're still there in that other world. And their more focus is inwards on their inner development rather than the outer world. So if you come to second subclass, you feel not so developed, बहुत ज़्यादा meditation में है, बहुत ज़्यादा spiritual connection है. So that's your indication that okay, it's on the top of the second subclass. And then start reading these remedies and see where can I fit the patient. Ulmesi, as I said, is more of the womb stage. Okay, and here there is a lot of ambition, lot of responsibility, lot of effort, lot of control, lot of obstacles coming but trying to overcome it. All this will be there, which will indicate you to the Ulmesi time. Okay. Cannabis indica, Cannabiceae, when you come to that family, this is oral stage. It's the first year of life. So they need immediate gratification. They don't trust the world. Also, you will see that these patients who need cannabis indica, generally they have a very hard or a very rough childhood. They've not received that in the first year of life, what love or care or protection you need from your mother or your parents, that they often lack. So there is this issue of trust, mistrust. And that heaviness, that darkness, they try and compensate with marijuana. They basically then, they could go to, relying on these drugs, on marijuana to feel light and free and colorful. Yeah, because life for them is all gloomy and dark. So you will, if you see issues with a rough childhood, if you see issues with tendency to addiction, need for a lot of love and care and instant gratification, could have issues of bulimia, obesity, then think of cannabis indica or the Cannabiceae family. So the whole idea is in, out, light, heavy, dark, gloomy, entire second subclass will have. How do you find the right remedy? Okay. And Urticaceae, where Urtica urens belongs, here it is the anal stage. Here the issues are with, autonomy versus shame and doubt. A lot of issue with, child is trying to develop self-control. And dependence and separation, borders, skin issues, as you know, Urtica urens is very, it's like the first remedy that you will think for, urticaria. So that burning skin and all of that you will see a lot when you think of urticaceae. Okay. Other things that you will think of for urticaceae is that lot of parental domination and feeling that am I in control of my life at all? See, always in anxiety of being attacked by allergens. What is urticaria? It's like an allergic attack, right? Like an allergen attack. So a lot of their allergies help them to live with it. Then they go back into their shell. Okay. So this is just in general about the, so that you understand that how within a particular order, you are able to differentiate different families. Okay. We'll quickly, before we do this short case, because we were talking about the Urtica, we were talking about cannabis, maybe we'll share a short video just to show you, and a lot of y'all may know about it. What is the experience of being dark and heavy, and what does marijuana do?
Biggest, latest Bollywood blockbuster, only on Eros Now.
Audio and video, okay? Read all of you. All right, so let's go back. So let's try to wrap up with also one more short case, because every case you're not going to use the sensation method, yeah? Or maybe yes, I don't know how you all do it. So this was a lady, 75 years old, and she came with the chief complaint of varicose ulcers. She had it on the left leg, very painful, bleeding, lot of bad odor that was coming, And because of this, and she came to us just a couple of months back, and because of this whole COVID-19 situation, she was advised surgery, but they were not able to operate. So her physician basically put her into a tight cast, and that cast was to be removed, and the dressing had to be done on a regular basis. Yeah, and she was doing it almost since March, and I think somewhere in April, mid-April or something is when she came to us. Yeah, because the pain, whatever, no matter what she did, the pain was extremely, extremely bad. Uh, so this was a case which was taken on phone, just 5 minutes of history, that's all. Yeah, and a general impression that, because she was a known, family friend, she's a very, renowned lawyer in the High Court. She's 75 years old, but unwilling to retire. Very righteous and conscientious, very religious. She does a lot of meditation. She is in the art of living. Every day, at least an hour, hour and a half, they have their own processes that they do. She's very sophisticated, very refined woman, and she commands respect. So if she's in the room, you will notice her. You will, her personality is such that she will command respect. Very imaginative and very creative, always smiling, very simple woman, and she could also get absent-minded. So these were the general impressions that we had. Varicose ulcers, you will just repertorize everybody, even your first year, second year student will be able to tell that the first remedies that come up in our mind is Protalase or Hemamilis. These are the remedies that will come to us. So if you just take the pathology, extremities, varices, legs, ulcers, varicose veins, lower limbs, painful varices, bleeding varices, all of that, the first remedy that comes up is Hemamilis. So something about Hemamilis was striking, okay, had to give immediate results. And the general impression that I had about her, that she's very conscientious. She'll not take a wrong case in her hand. She's very haughty, demands respect. She's very much into meditation, she's not able to, she doesn't want to retire. She wants to keep her mental faculty ongoing. So if you do all of that, in that also, if you see Hemamilis was coming. So then you are very sure. You have the understanding of Hemamilidae family, you have the keynote understanding of Hemamilis, and you have the general repertory understanding of the mental impressions. So if you put together, you're just going to be very, very sure. Hemamilis, which is the second order, Hemamilidae is the second order within the Hemamilids, second subclass. Not a lot of mental symptoms we know about, do we? So we just read a little bit. So from Massimo, if you read, there's a lot of anger issue, very hypochondriacal, lot of fear of suffering and anxiety is there. And there is a delusion that, something terrible will happen. But what was striking was that she was conscientious about trifles. Yeah, there is a lot of meditation that comes up in this patient. Very strong integrity is there. Yeah, always smiling and sympathetic. If you read from Kent's repertory, reverse repertory, if you see, there's a lot of haughtiness, irritableness, meditation, absent-minded, lot of work, all of that. So it's a complete package. 5-minute case and beautiful results. So this first photograph that you're seeing is of the first follow-up. I unfortunately lost the first case. And the skin that you see is terrible. It's because of the tight cast. So it's very dry now because she's wearing a cast for the last 3 months, which is very tightly packed. So this is when she came to us. She was already on cast for more than a month. So this is the first follow-up on 18th May. And this is the recent follow-up where the ulcer is almost here. Yeah. So from both perspective, you are able to basically nail it down. Yeah. I think that is all that we had, to give you like a quick snapshot of the entire Hemamilids. We did a couple of cases. I spoke about Ulmus. We spoke about Hemamilis. And I think that kind of gives you a gist of, the more you read, the more you refine yourself, you'll be able to get the right exact similar, from all aspects. Before I hand it over and open for questions, I also wanted to take this opportunity to invite you all for, one of the home retreats that we're doing. It's called Karma Intensive. We're doing it this coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's a it's not just for your patients, it's also for us as healers. The more grounded we are, the more well we are, and more mind, body, and spirit is in harmony, the more better we are going to do our jobs. Yeah. So it's just a few hours in a day, and it's a very interesting program. So if you would like to get in touch with us, like to know more, Prajakta and I will be more than happy to, give you more details. So that is all from our side. If there are any questions or any comments, or if anybody would like to share anything, please let us know. Hemamyllis potency repetition, Hemamyllis 1M, we started with twice in a day, then came to once in a day. Yeah, but it was frequent repetition that we did. Application of Hemamyllis mother tincture for varicose vein. So because this patient, they're very well read, etc., they used to take some Hemamyllis cream, and I don't know from which company it is provided, but that didn't help. She was already using it for many months. But if it's the right similimum, it has to be administered internally, and it can do wonders. Yeah, and she was already in tight cast, so there was no way of putting any external applications. Would love to hear from other columns of plant remedies. Definitely. We also invite you to join us on Saturdays for musings. It's also again an open forum, open mic. We discuss different cases, different perspectives. Facebook Live. I don't know, those questions I think are for Yamini. Maybe she'll be able to answer. So that's all. I think if there are no more questions, thank you so much for your patience, and thank you so much for your hearing. And if you have any feedback, if you want to know more about us, the work we do, if you would like to collaborate in any which ways, please let us know. And thank you so much, Yamini, once again. Are you still here?
Yes, I'm here.
So we are on dot of time, yeah? We have 5-7 minutes to stay. Good.
Definitely. Yes. So it was wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks to both of you. It was a very nice case. I learned a lot. And also the tips you have given about Ulmo especially, I loved them. So it's in my experience also, it's, it comes very close to carcinosin really. So it's a wonderful remedy and very useful, useful family, I would say. Commonly in common practice, it is very useful. So thanks a lot. It was really helpful, wonderful session and wonderful case. We would really love to hear more from you and learn. So few people are asking whether this video will be available on YouTube or FB. So yes, I will be putting it on YouTube very soon, within 1 or 2 days. Once the editing gets completed, I will inform everyone. So I just want to share one thing with you that so this is the YouTube channel Asha Homeo Health Center. You can note down. So here we will put it and also inform you. So you can just note down this channel and subscribe it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks again, girls. You're mute.
Thank you. Take care. Be safe, all of you. Be well. Tata.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone. And do write your feedback and suggestions. We would love to do this more often, with other experts as well. So just give us your feedback on Insta handle, Homeopathy Junction, or anywhere on WhatsApp groups also you can tell us. Thanks a lot for joining us and hearing patiently. And have a good time. Bye-bye.